Welcome to 20 Minutes with Mike, brought to you by Legal Ease, the ultimate guide on how to survive a law practice. The Chastain Law Office of Gold River, California, and Barking Frogs, your best source for race swag. Go bigger and louder. Now here's your host, Mike Chastain.
Well, welcome. We're so glad that you're joining us here for 20 Minutes with Mike. I think we've got a great topic today. We're going to be talking about mentors and the value of having mentors. So let's get right to it. Any of you who know me or know anything about me know that I've been an adventurer and an endurance athlete almost my entire life. I mean, nothing makes me happier than going off trail into the wilderness and summiting some peak somewhere, going places that I've never been, and especially out in nature. And as a result of that, in my adventure racing career, I've had the great fortune of meeting people who are a lot like me and like to do that. And one of my good friends is a guy named Matt Jansen, who is a tremendous explorer. He's a great navigator. He loves going out to various places and setting courses. And he runs a business called NavX, which if you're into orienteering, and I highly recommend you look it up, NavX, NAV-X. But a number of years ago, Matt decided to challenge himself and invited myself and a number of adventure racers from Northern California to do what he called the 15 Peak Challenge. Now, this 15 Peak Challenge was going to be incredibly difficult because the idea was to summit the 15 peaks that surround Aloha Lake up in Desolation Wilderness, just above Lake Tahoe, and to do it in 24 hours. And I got to tell you that these are not necessarily peaks that have trails going to them. A couple of them do, but most of them don't. And the terrain is extremely sketchy. There's a lot of scrambling and climbing that you have to do. It's a tremendously challenging affair. And so when Matt told me about it and invited me to go, I was like, yeah, I'm totally in. And so I partnered up with a guy by the name of Mike Miller, who we were going to be doing a 6-day adventure race later. And so I wanted to kind of work out some of the kinks with our team as teammates. And so we took off to do this event, 15 Peaks. And we started off and we got the first few peaks without too much trouble. Flagpole Peak, which actually is a little bit more challenging than you would think. There's a lot of scrambling and climbing that involved. And then Craig's Crack, and then over to Angora Peak, which had this really dicey little place that you had to kind of skirt around with these cliffs. And then on the Cathedral Peak, which was, kind of walk up to, and then Tamarack, which there is a trail that goes up that, but it's one of the highest peaks. And then from Lake Tahoe, you can actually see it from the lake. And there's a trail that goes right up there. Well, after Tamarack, that's when things started to get interesting, because it started to get dark. And this particular year that we were doing this, there were these giant fires down in Yosemite. And so there was a ton of smoke. And so there was that going on, and it was super windy. And the next peak that we had to go to was Dick's Peak. Now, if you look on a map around Desolation Wilderness, you'll see that to get to Dick's Peak, there is no trail, and there is a quite strenuous climb to get to it. But we were able to scramble up and to get there. And then the next peak is Jack's Peak. And the connection between Dick's and Jack's was this little razor thin ridge. And when I say razor thin, I mean like half of a sidewalk maybe of scree, which is just loose shale. So it's real, tricky walking along. And on either side, left or right, was about 1,000-foot drop. I mean, literally 1,000-foot drop. If you fell, it would be, game over. So, it's dark, it's windy, it's kind of a dicey way across. And as we're heading over to Jack's, we come to what in mountaineering terms is called a step. For you and I, what that is, it's a cliff. It was about a 20-foot cliff that we had to get over. And when we got there, there were two other racers that I knew, and they were like, we can't figure out how to get around this thing. And so I'm standing there and I'm kind of pondering, well, we can't go around it, and I really don't want to go back. And the longer you stand there with something like that, it starts to get kind of scary. I could feel the fear starting to work up my spine. And all of a sudden, Mats comes up. And because he's been there, I'm like, Mats, how do you get around this thing? And he's like, follow me, I'll show you. And he goes around just to the left of it, which I think would have been south. And there was this little like V shape, and he's just boom, 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 scrambled up. 20 seconds later, he's up over the top and gone. So what Matt showed us, and so I followed him, and 20 seconds later, boom, I'm over the top, and shortly thereafter, I'm summiting that peak. What had been an almost insurmountable obstacle all of a sudden became really simple because somebody showed me how. Now, a lot of you maybe don't engage in, adventure racing or these kinds of things, and so maybe that doesn't resonate as much with you. But I bet virtually all of you have had the experience of uh, working on a computer, and you just can't figure out how to do something, and you're pushing the buttons and you're clicking the things and whatever, and then someone comes along and shows you, and they're like, dude, click here, click there, done. And something that had been almost undoable, completely frustrating, all of a sudden became really simple. All right. Why am I telling you these stories or giving you these examples? Because this is what mentors do for you. Mentors give you shortcuts. Mentors teach you how to get around things that you maybe someday will figure out, but are really, really struggling with. We're in a society where we have this kind of John Wayne attitude of I did it on my own. I've got to do it all on my own. I can't have any help. I've got to always go forward myself. And first of all, that's just a big lie. Nobody is a completely self-made man. We all stand on the shoulders of people that came before us. If you're a lawyer, you're reading case law and you're watching other lawyers do things. If you're a cybersecurity person, you didn't invent cybersecurity. You didn't invent computers. You didn't invent the software necessarily. You're standing on the shoulders of other people and you're learning how to do it. If you sell widgets, you didn't build the roads or make the trucks. So we all rely on other people. And that's really what mentoring is. It's understanding that we're not in this all by ourselves, that we need help. And so we should really reach out and get it and shortcut a lot of the challenges that we all have in doing whatever it is that we're doing. So if you agree with me that having someone help you along the way is a good idea, then let's talk about how do you get a mentor and what exactly is a mentor from at least in this context. So a mentor, in my opinion, is just simply someone or something that helps you um, progress faster, show you shortcuts. So when I say something, it could be an organization, it could be a group of people, it could be a mastermind group, it could be books, it could be videos. It doesn't always necessarily have to be one-on-one people. Videos like this, one could say I am acting as a mentor on this particular subject, on mentoring. By way of this video. You watch this video, you learn something, maybe you get a shortcut and you speed things along. The other thing is that you can and should have different mentors for different areas of your life. So somebody who's a business mentor who's helping you run a profitable business may be very different than a mentor who's helping you get in shape, is acting as a fitness coach. So understand that it is going to be incredibly rare for you to find a mentor that is one size fits all and does everything for you. Over the course of my life, I've had many mentors. I've had legal mentors who've helped me, become a better lawyer. I've had business mentors that have helped me run a profitable business. I've had personal mentors, as far as meditation and spirituality. sometimes we call them priests or clergy, right? I've had a lot of mentors. I've had coaches who helped train me for big events. When I was training for the XPD, the 10-day race in Australia, I went out and hired a coach and worked out with him on a regular basis because I knew that my fitness level was going to be so important. Now, Joey was a great coach and he was a good friend, but I wouldn't have hired him to be my business coach or my financial advisor because that's not where his strengths were. That's not where his expertise is. So the first part of this is to recognize that there's different mentors for different things. And knowing what it is that you want and need will help guide you towards that kind of mentor. Um, here's another thing that occurred to me as I was talking or preparing for this thing, is that you may not see eye to eye on every subject that your mentor is providing. So, I have a number of mentors that I work with, and just be straight up honest, I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things of some of them. But what I have to be very careful of is not disregarding the good things that they're saying because there are other things that I don't agree with. And what I've also discovered over time is that they may present an idea that I don't agree with, but over time, as I gain more information and gain more knowledge, I begin to recognize why it is that they're saying what they're saying and give that more merit. So, we're such a divided country nowadays in that, if somebody in a different tribe, somebody's a different, a different viewpoint, says something, no matter how much truth there is to it, we reject it simply because we disagree with them on other things. Don't do that for mentors. Recognize that you're hiring a mentor, you're involved with a mentor for a specific purpose, and you don't have to agree with that person on all things at all times. That's really the critical point of what I want to stress here, is that you don't have to agree with everything that they say in order for them to be effective and useful mentor. So where do you find mentors? All right. In my opinion, the best way to do this is to have a paid mentor. I mean, there's lots of advantages of having a paid mentor, but let me give an analogy. I take bass lessons, guitar lessons every week. I pay a guy to teach me. I put value on that, and I show up because I've already paid the bill. I've already cut that guy a check, and I listen to him because I'm paying him to teach me and to help me progress in my bass playing. You need to treat it like that. If you don't pay for it, if you don't invest in it, because that's really the key, is if you don't invest in it, then you may not put much value in it. And if you don't put any value in it, then you may not get the same return on it. So paid groups. I've spoken a number of times on, as a lawyer running a law firm. The Richard James Partners Club was wonderful. It made a huge difference in my life. It took me from a struggling law practice to being a profitable, effective law practice where we can help more people because we are profitable and we run our business correctly. Life Hack Tribe is another mentor group that I belong to that's not lawyer based, but it's effectiveness and how to run businesses and how to be effective use of your time. And it's really more kind of a time management group, but it's super effective. I offer mentoring services, and if you go onto my website, mikechastain.com or michaelchastain.com, you'll see that we offer services, in the areas of expertise that I have, which is running law practices. But a lot of what I teach will actually go for, cross over into other businesses as well. But I have a little niche, and I do offer mentoring. And if you're interested in that, go to my website and check that out. But where else can you get mentoring? Well, obviously family. But recognize that if you're getting mentoring from family, there might be other costs involved. There might be emotional costs. There might be bias because of your relationship with that person. So, family is a great mentoring place, but it's not always the best. There's other costs. Now, I will say, my father was a great mentor to me, but he passed away 28 years ago, and I sorely miss him every day, and I wish that there were things that I could run by him today that would be extremely helpful. But um, family can be great mentors. Brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. Don't disregard those. Friends. But realize again, if you're not investing, going to a friend every once in a while to bounce something off is a mentoring of sorts, but they're not acting as a mentor until you develop that kind of relationship. And if you are going to develop a relationship with someone as a mentor, you need to make it clear that that is the relationship that you are developing, because a mentor needs to be honest with you. And if your relationship is such that the mentor is not being honest with you, then you're not getting proper feedback. So if they're worried about hurting your feelings, and that's the problem with family and friends, is that if they're not paid, um, and they're doing it as a favor, then they may be less honest with you because they're concerned about your feelings. A paid mentor is not going to have that concern. Another paid mentor that I did want to mention is my good friend Jimmy Kaspari. He's a great life coach. His one of his focuses is on web pages and SEO. Something I would never mentor someone on because I'm completely incompetent in that, and I rely on Jimmy to tell me those things. But Jim can do that for you. So again, knowing what it is that you want is really important. Um, People that you work with, employers, employees might be good sources of information and mentoring. But again, you have to understand that you are developing a relationship. And when you go to that mentor level, you want to make sure that everyone's on the same page, that that is what you are doing, that is the nature of the relationship. Coworkers, virtually, there's lots of people who can do this. Books, some of the things that have made the most profound impact in my life have been the reading of books. Now, one of the books that changed my business life, you know, uh, I can't even describe how much it changed us, was Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I happened to have met Mike, and I'd broken bread with him, and I got to know him a little bit. Um, but even without that, his book made a huge difference. There's tons of books that I've read, and I talk about, The Secret. I've never met the author, but it made a profound difference in my life. And so those are the kinds of things that can be mentoring, reading books, and then reflecting on those, because they will give you feedback. You would be amazed at how much feedback you'll get if you're honest with yourself and go, yeah, I'm not doing this, or I am doing this, and this is what I'm getting, or this is what I'm not getting. So, the idea of having a mentor, first, just to summarize real quick, first, you got to get past the idea that you're going to do it all yourself. That's just, forget that. That's ridiculous. It'll take you forever. Take the shortcut. Make a decision to get a mentor, and then start looking for people who will mentor you, and be upfront with them about the relationship, that you want them to mentor you, that you are asking for their help in mentoring, that you are seeking that kind of advice out, so that they're not going to be worried about hurting your feelings. They're going to be honest with you. They're going to tell you the truth about what's going on, because it's only with knowing the truth about what's really going on that you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. And don't be afraid of investing in a paid mentorship. That, in my opinion, and I've had all kinds of mentors, paid, unpaid, the paid mentor, whether it's a group, a program, an online thing, or a one-on-one, those will always be um, better from the perspective of you will get more out of them because you have invested in it. All right, everybody. I hope this has been helpful to you. We're at the end of our 20 minutes. So just remember, be grateful for what you have and be willing to work for what you want. All right, everybody. Take care.